Anybody else have anything to add, public comment? Anybody else want to speak on anything? All right, seeing none, we'll move on into the regular order of business. Let's see, EMA quarterly report and Hurricane Helene update. On that.
We passed the newsletter around that we've been asked to by the committee and by the commission just as a quarterly report. I'll hit the highlights of that report. Our lead representative for the American Red Cross has changed. That's documented on this report. Got contact information. Had a meeting with him last month. He was just telling what all they did for our county, and there's 21 fires. Red Cross responded to 45 clients that were assisted, and a total benefit of about $14,000 for last year. Also had some meetings after Helene with TPA over dam safety, and been involved in some exercises that they've had. As far as, and I've got this kind of mixed throughout it, as far as Helene, as far as our Helene estimates, they've increased from our initial estimates. And to my knowledge, the highway department application is about 400, just under 400,000, isn't it, Danny? Mm-hmm. That's my understanding of that. And the Holston application is about 1.9 million. And then we have other applications as well that individual agencies have requested on their own, as far as through Helene and through FEMA. And then the emergency management aspect of that, for such a short duration as far as the EOC being open, we were not eligible for the initial deployment of the EOC, but there is some administrative cost that we'll ask for refund on after everything else closes out. After Helene, we had a local emergency manager, a state emergency manager was trapped on the roof of a hospital. I know we had some discussion last budget year about emergency management was a first response agency, and I thought if nothing else happens out of a disaster, that should be done. We did some research, and it's actually already in place as far as TCA code to make them a first response agency. They're very lucky, and could have been any of us. Several $1,000s of donated goods were received from Bristol Motor Speedway, the distribution center there that donated to our region from across the country, across the world. I know stuff that fire departments and emergency management got locally with some fire gear, water, energy drinks, generators, some dehumidifiers, hand tools, cleaning supplies, and some miscellaneous goods that they were able to get from that. Training, we've got a lot going on in their office as far as first aid, CPR, AED, ICS 300, EVOC, and SK-free. Got a grant writing class that's coming up in February, and that'll be at Washington County. We plan to send the whole department. SAR 101 is scheduled for March in Hawkins County. That'll be at BAE, and they have it at the publicly accessible area, so anyone can attend as far as emergency responders. I'll be sending that out. Also got EMA training coming up, and FirstNet's having some training on some new products that they've got that's coming up this month. We've hired Deputy Director Steve Armstrong inside of my department, so we'll get someone with a lot of experience in public safety. That's changed some of our reporting criteria for our emergency management performance grant, where we were having to go through and report on several things. We're just using salaries now, which speeds that process up, saves a couple hours each time that report has to be pulled. We've applied for a Emergency Operations Center Resilience and Technology Grant. That's $200,000 with no match. We'll know back on it in a couple months. And then several grants that open up in the springtime, and we've got several of those that are enlisted to apply for. Events that happened this quarter, Winter Storm Cora impacted our region. It looked like that storm was going to impact at 5 p.m., but luckily it was about 9 that night, so everybody had time to get home and the roads weren't as occupied, so we had pretty limited impact from that from what it would have been if it hit a couple hours early. Our basic emergency operation plan, we had about 70% done. Helene hit. That also impacted FEMA's planning department. For us and for them, it was best to extend that out a year. We had that plan 70% done. So a new template took place January 1. They gave us the option of continuing that or to go to the new template, but after reviewing it, I've made the decision to go to the new template, and we probably got it 50% done. It's much more streamlined. Takes a document that's probably a couple hundred pages and condenses it down to like 52, 53 pages, and it'll extend as we expand the plan, but that's what it is right now. Severe weather awareness week's coming up. The department will be involved in that, pushing out information. We've been able to expand some services that we offer on a limited capacity as long as supplies last, basically. We've had a couple of fire deaths in the last couple of years in our county, and we've been able to acquire some fire alarms that if someone doesn't have one, point our direction, and we'll get those to them. There's also a First Tennessee Area Agency of Aging and Disability grant that was supplied that basically enhances lighting in people's residences, and we're able to secure light bulbs and stuff from that through the Department of Health. If anyone has a need for that, looks like one more direction. Also, the recommendation of Commissioner Gibson, which is not here today, some of y'all may remember this. It was brought up in here about a program for some kind of identifier, like on a car or something, to point out that there was safety needs of an occupant inside or health concerns or whatever. And we've been able to partner with TDOT to get the Yellow Dot program as well. We have some of those available in her office. That's all that I have in that report. I do have a little bit more from Helene if you want to go over it now or wait.
Well, I was going to ask you about this Yellow Dot program. Okay. For people who are interested in the community, would they just need to contact your office for that?
Yeah, contact our office, and we're going to push it out on social media as well. We're very limited on how many of those we have, but I'm hoping if we're able to give those out pretty quickly that they're able to resupply us. I think we've got about 25 right now.
I guess the same thing for the LED light bulb and the 3 fire alarms.
Correct. If it takes off, we'll try to get more of those items. Just kind of an initial allotment, just to get us started.
Yeah, you can go ahead and
okay. So this doesn't impact us directly, but how we prepare for disaster and the amount of money that would be needed for certain disasters. This impacts a whole lot, and I wanted to bring up what's going on in our region so we can avoid being a victim of this from other hazards or from flood. Just a General Assembly set up a disaster relief committee. I'll send a video out to all the commissioners. It's heart-wrenching to watch that video of those county mayors describing what they're going through. I went through and just marked some highlights, and I'm not going to announce which counties these are, but I'll send this to you all with some timestamps on it. But Ada County, in their highway department alone, $1.5 million and 410 economic jobs that were lost months after the impact. So had a high school that was destroyed. Had one county that spent $8 million just in debris removal. Had a county with 150 roads destroyed. 20,000 victims trapped inside of one county. 74,000 residents without water in one county. In the first few hours, they spent $625,000 just in water. And in the first 3 days, they spent $2.5 million from their declaring an emergency and out of their disaster general fund, I assume. $22 million worth of residential damage in one county. A $15 million water pumping station. The county's lost their water pumping stations, pumping 4.5 million gallons of water a day. It's taking a tanker load of diesel fuel a day to just meet those basic needs, which is they're incurring $250,000 costs from that, just to keep water in their county. Multiple bridges across the region destroyed, multi-million-dollar projects, hospital destroyed, multiple fatalities, multiple industries destroyed. I bring multiple emergency vehicles destroyed. I bring that up just to highlight that it takes a whole lot of money when stuff like this that impacts your community to be ready for and be prepared for it. The way this is working with FEMA is you have to pay for everything to get reimbursed at this point. So, and another thing, flooding is just one hazard that we have to prepare for as government. So, if you have any questions on any of that, I'll send that video out with those highlights in it. I just wanted to bring up how much this disaster's costed, and there's multiple hazards that produce these kind of numbers.
Anybody have any questions for Jamie? Thank you, Jamie. Hurricane Helene recovery update. Danny, you want to fill us in where you're at?
What it got? Each one should have a copy of what I'm getting ready to talk about. The Hawkins County Highway Department is still in the process of cleaning up the debris from Hurricane Helene. Hawkins County Highway Department is in phase 2 at around 68% complete. Phase 1, there's 4 phases. Phase 1 is just getting the road cleared, getting the debris to the shoulders. So we got the road open. Phase 2 is going back and picking up the debris from the shoulders to the ditch lines, hauling it to a storage area and disposing of it. Phase 3 will be going back and getting all the loose particles, limbs, whatever, out of the drainage and chipping or grooming the best that we can. And phase 4 would be grooming it to its condition before the hurricane happened. So we're at phase 2 at 68%. We started on 9/27, and we anticipate being finished on 3/31. The figures I'm getting ready to give you is through 1/31 of this year. FEMA's got 5 categories that we have to abide by as far as getting reimbursed. Category Z is straight labor for administration, getting the permits, compiling all the paperwork, documentation, filing with them and keeping in contact, going to meetings. It's just the footwork. We've put in 1,133 hours, which comes to $22,000, $22,721.28. Category Z, the material, that's stuff that we had to buy to try to complete this project. We spent $2,356.87. That would consist of chainsaws, chains, files, gloves, just material that's expendable that we use and have to replace. Category A is debris removal. And for straight labor, we have done 5,113 hours, which calculates to $135,380.62. Overtime in category A, we've done 527.75, which is $16,619.06. And category A equipment, that's anything that we use, dump trucks, skid steers, any kind of equipment that's used toward removing the debris caused by the hurricane. We've used 3,890 hours, which calculates to $151,715.07. As I said before, we're at 68% on phase 2. Phase 3 and phase 4 should not take as long as phase 2. So we're on the downhill slide. If FEMA terminated reimbursement as of 1/31, we should be getting reimbursed $328,792.90 for the work that we've done clearing the roadways. And we have worked total hours, 10,663 hours, 0.75. And we've removed a total of 1,741.9 cubic yards of material and disposed of it. If you've been traveling the county roads, you traveled it right after the hurricane, and you're traveling now, you can see we are making progress, but we're not where we need to be.
Danny, on your labor, how many, was it 11 temporary workers that we approved?
Mm-hmm.
How many of those positions were full? Like, how many were you able to hire to do this relief?
At one time I had 11, and through this bad weather, rain, where they didn't get to work the full weeks, because if we wasn't doing the hurricane cleanup, they went home. I've lost about 3 or 4.
Took her down to
6 or 7, which is not bad because I could just run one crew on the phase 3 and 4, but we just had one chipper. Before I was running 2 and sometimes 3 crews.
So the labor, the temporary labor that you had, were they using already owned highway equipment to do the work, or is this new equipment purchased for $151,000?
The 151,000. Look at my figures here.
What's marked as equipment, use of the vehicle?
That is the hourly use of county equipment
That we've already had.
that will get reimbursed.
So that equipment, so for the past several months, the equipment that normally used for roadways have been on the relief cleanup.
Correct.
Where is most of your work being done in the county?
You started at the Hamlin County line down toward Bingham and Mini Ridge, and just went away through Lakeview, across and around Manus Road, and in that area, right, it followed the mountains. That's the majority of it. And about every road had a couple of trees, some of them 5 or 6 trees, some of them 1 tree, but every road in the county had some type of damage. And we're still getting damage for the trees the roots were broken loose in the soil, and now it's getting snow and a little more wind, and the trees were leaning. We're still having to go back and redo and clean up.
And then you said CTAZ, that's basically your office labor?
That's catch-all.
And
That's
how
your
many-
administration and stuff that you had to purchase that you didn't have to do enough of to do the job with your crew.
Out of those 11 positions we approved, how many of those were administrative positions, like
1.
secretaries, just 1? Put in a lot of hours, 1,133 hours for one position, that's a lot.
Do you have a time frame on when the reimbursement will come?
You want to speak on that, Danny? I submitted that application yesterday, but there's still no timeline at all on when that'll come in.
It's FEMA, it might be 2-3 years.
I can say they've asked for the completed estimates on how many cubic yards we've moved and how many hours we've worked and in all the categories. So working on grand total instead of paying it out in partial payments. So, could be 3 months, could be 3 years.
Well, and I remember that's what you said when you asked for those positions in the budget committee. I just wondered if they had a more specific time frame.
We've got all of our federal representatives in the state pushing FEMA to get money back out.
Any more questions?
Regardless of what that reimbursement happens or doesn't happen or whatever, I spot checked the application there before I turned it in. Danny's people in the office and his truck drivers have done a phenomenal job documenting what was going on in the field and what needed to be reimbursed. So, I know a lot of man hours just went into all that data that's in there. And all of our stuff will be under that one application. My office, Sarah has stuff in there and Danny's.
Any other questions regarding the update on this relief? Any other public safety hurricane information update that any department needs to share? All right, that's all we've got on our agenda. Does anybody have any unfinished business?
Mr. Chairman, I move adjourned.
Motion been made to adjourn, I'll second.
Second.
Second by